In most cases, they were...
Like if Robert, does everyone know Robert's thinking about being a priest? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's thinking about being a priest, okay? So a person like him goes through seminary, he cannot marry, okay? Sorry, Robert. You're married to the church, and your family is, so your family is gonna, okay. So you cannot marry, okay? But what about a person, an Anglican, an Episcopalian? He's married, he converts to Catholicism, he wants to become a priest, okay? He applies to Rome, and Rome can grant him that. So there are married priests out there.
One in San Diego. He was an Anglican priest that
Sure.
had children, and
Yeah, they
he is a Catholic priest in the
Yeah.
diocese of San Diego.
So,
Well,
because, let's be originally, were any of the apostles married?
Yes.
Peter was married, he had a mother-in-law,
Yeah.
okay? So we know he's married, okay? So, see, that's not locked in stone. So the church can work with it. But Jesus selected all men as apostles. You can't work with that, okay? So,
And also, you talked about it before, deacons, that, you know, if they're married and they become a deacon, then that's fine, but if for some reason, if he divorces or if the spouse dies, they can...
yeah, cannot marry again. Yeah, so there's certain,
what happened to the deaconesses?
it went away. Yeah, it went away. It was in the very early church, and then they kept it as men. I don't think women, no, I'm pretty sure now women
And
are.
then women moved more towards the sister. Yeah.
Yeah, the more the religious.
Right.
Because, again, a deacon is a server. Okay,
So I
so,
ask you, have you...
There was, when was it? It was back in the late 80s. There was serious discussion about bringing a married priest in to be the pastor at Sacred Heart.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's out there.
because it was just
It's
before
out there.
Father Buckman came.
Oh, really? Yeah. So it's out there. And remember, some of these things are church laws. You know, the church put this into place so that the church can function. You know, so can be true.
Have you ever heard of an instance in which Rome has denied a request from a person who was minister of another faith?
Possibly. I don't know of any specific, but probably. But I don't know. They look at certain situations, and they're the one who has to grant the permission to do that. There are married priests out there.
There was a married priesthood through the church up until about the 11 or 1200s, if my memory is correct. At least that's what
They allowed.
they had, and it was, finally it was, this is what a priest told me, that it was terminated because they were having too many problems with married priests and families.
You think about it.
Inheritance
Look.
of
Yeah.
property.
See there. Think about it.
I knew.
Think about it. A priest, okay? If he's not married, okay, he does not have a wife, right? Okay. Who said lucky? And so what does he devote his full time to?
Church.
Okay. Now we take our Protestant friends. I went to evangelical church for 12 years with Deb. Okay. You got the pastor, and he's married. And he had 2 kids. And he's pastor of a church. Okay, let's face it. Every person has X amount of hours in a day, right?
That's right.
How's he going to devote his time?
Which is going to come first?
You know? That's the reasoning behind it. Some people think, the church is really mean. So he can focus the full effort on his church family. If you got a wife and kids, come on, you got to go to the soccer game, and you're divided, and you can't give the full effort. So that's really the reason.
Wasn't that the argument that St. Augustine used on favoring the celibate priesthood or unmarried priesthood?
Yeah, that's really the focus. He's married really to the church, and his family is the whole parish. So
Of course, Augustine sold his oaths before he...
we talked about Augustine last night, remember?
Yes.
That's a wild
On the 2 verses that converted him.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the hierarchy of the church. It has structure, has offices. It's established by Christ, and it'll endure forever and can't be changed. Chapter 4. Now we get to the good stuff. Chapter 4. What's the title? Let's understand who the laity is. Paragraph 31, first sentence. Paragraph 30, first sentence. 30.
Having described the functions of the hierarchy, the Holy Council is pleased to turn its attentions to the state of those Christians who are called the laity.
Okay, so in the church,
That's us.
we have 2 groups of people. The clergy, that we talked about here. What does the clergy consist of?
Priests,
Bishops, priests, and deacons, and
laity, the rest of us.
the rest of us. So when you look at this hierarchy or the structure of the church, where are the greatest numbers found?
The rest of us.
The rest of us, right?
That's right.
There's a lot of us and a few clergy. And what this is doing now, it is addressing this whole issue, the laity. Because in the past, there really wasn't a definition about the laity and what the laity was supposed to do. And we've got to think back. Think back, some of us who are Catholics prior to the 1960s, 1950s, if you're around. Did the people do much back then?
No.
No!
No, we went to church.
You went to church. What did Catholics do?
Confession.
You go to church? Some people went to confession more often than others, but you went to church, went to confession, but...
You went to communion
Yeah.
And that's it.
You just sat there and the altar boys did all the work.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
And
right.
whose responsibility,
Yeah.
in the people that go to church, whose responsibility was it to put on the Mass, to do this, to put on the teachings, to do all this, to teach everyone?
The priest.
Everything is supposed to be on the clergy. Oh, Father will do this, Sister will do this. It's really focused on just the clergy.
Yeah.
And so Vatican II came out and said, no, no, no. We need to now really modernize. Remember the function of Vatican II is really to modernize, to bring the church, bringing it into this new time, And this has been done since the very beginning. When did the Catholic Church start?
2030, no, it's 33.
About 2,000 years ago. About 2,000 years ago, okay? Think back. What was the official language back then?
Greek.
Greek, okay?
Roman.
And Hebrew.
Hebrew, but the main language of the land was Greek, okay? Well, what happened to the Greek language? It went down, Latin went up, so then they transferred to Latin, okay? So you see in the history of the church that the church does move with the times. But, it's slow going. So it has done this, and this is what Vatican II is doing now. It's moving more with the modern world. So it has a whole thing about laity, and it's going to tell us about what the laity is supposed to do. Okay? Paragraph 31. 31, first... 31, the whole paragraph. It's not a long paragraph.
The term laity is here understood to mean all the faithful except those in holy orders and those who belong to a religious state approved by the Church. That is, the faithful who by baptism are incorporated into Christ, are placed in the people of God, and in their own way share the priestly, prophetic, and kingly office of Christ, and to the best of their ability carry on the mission of the whole Christian people in the Church and in the world.
Okay.